Everyone, welcome to Critical Rocket and the launch day of the 2C pack. So, first gameplay video up is the Jenner IIC, if you're watching these in order. Here it is, the Origins special version has the 30% C-Bill bonus that you can see down there. This is its blue and yellow paint scheme, and if we have a quick look at any changes I've made, which I have with this build, one of the problems, armour, was very shit. So basically I've dropped the engine from, if I remember correctly, the XL engine that was in was a 315 and I've gone way down to a 285 so I could get enough weight there so I could actually max out the armour on the whole mech. If you try and run it as stock anyway, weapons wise, with the standard armour, you won't last very long. Outside of that, it's exactly the same weapons and same number of jump jets and the like. I added an extra ton of SRM ammo, so the two SRM6s are fine. Kept the 1 ton of streak for the SRM4, and yeah, maxed out the ammo. So we'll jump over to the gameplay after a second. Well, you'll see it. It'll fade out. It'll be great. And hello, and here we are with the gameplay of the 2C. Now, my experience with it was tragically painful at first. I was trying to run it originally with the stock armor as well. I didn't really pay much attention and didn't quite realize that the reason it was dying so fucking quickly was because it's just got paper thin legs and arms and torsos and head and everything else that kind of makes up a battle mech. Once I kind of rejiggered that stuff and put the extra ton of ammo in and slightly reduced the engine size, it actually works quite well in stock with the Streak 4 and the two SRM6s. I liken this to being a clan version of a commando, which is weird because there's no doubt a commando 2C anyway, but I liken it in the sense that it's a striker mech. It can do some whopping damage. I imagine if you could fit Artemis onto those SRM6s, you could do some really nice pinpoint damage at medium to short range, and it's very nippy. I mean, the standard engine that comes with it, if you don't mess with the engine, is the speed, is really good, about 145 kph. And after I dropped down about 131 before speed tweak, so it's still not terrible. It's still relatively quick, and the Jenner IIC, much like the standard Jenner, it isn't really meant so much for the whole scouting kind of role. It's meant as a kind of fast attack and striker mech that supports medium and heavy lancers. The jump jets really keep it manoeuvrable and quite fast on the map, and yeah, it doesn't suffer anything luckily like low slung arms or any of those drawbacks. Damage output is going to be based on your ping, it's going to be based on hit reg and a few other bits and pieces like that. It doesn't fare very well against other lights unless the other light mech is running away from you and you can just keep plugging in with your streaks. Otherwise, if you come up against one of the more aggressive light builds, such as the Arctic Cheetah with its small pulses, the Firestarter, any of those kind of lights, it's really not going to win that fight. What it works best in that I've found through my trial and error so far on launch day was its ability to very rapidly get in close or to the side or rear of a mech, do some very very quick damage and then back up. Certain maps this doesn't work so well on. Maps like this, Forest Colony, River City, you know, Crimson Strait, those kind of maps where you can very quickly dart back behind cover, you can do some really good damage. Maps like Tourmaline and Alpine, on the other hand, you are kind of hamstrung. The other problem with the build is that it's a bit like the Oxide in that it doesn't have any backup energy or ballistic slots. You were pretty much stuck with missiles, so you're either going to be trying to tweak this to be a really powerful splat boat, so SRM2s carrying a load of streaks, or you're going to be trying to run it as an LRM support mech, which has its obvious drawbacks. For that reason, I'd say this is probably the weakest of the 2C pack. I actually had it in mind originally, before I even started playing, that this was going to be a much more powerful light than it actually turned out to be. The customization of options, though, available to this with Clan Tech is still going to make it one of the more desirable lights, I think, out of the whole bunch. So yeah, it's got its strengths, it's got its definite weaknesses. Ammo is always going to be a problem. Your legs, the hitboxes on the legs are pretty good actually. If you're fighting one of these things, blowing its legs off are going to be very easy. I did notice, strangely enough, that despite the fact that it has the chicken leg configuration for its setup, it's actually slightly taller than the standard Jenner, which is kind of odd, which means you can sometimes get hit when you're behind cover, because there's a little I don't know, there's like this little bump on the top rear CT of the mech that you can actually see when someone stood there, and it does register quite well, and it does damage to the CT depending on where you hit it. Sometimes it looks like it's registering the rear. Now I don't know if that's going to be addressed at some point, but yeah, you do have like a little nub that's sticking up behind rocks, so you have to be aware of that when you, even though your cockpit is behind cover, the rest of you might not be. Also keeping in mind that because the cockpit of the Jenner IIC is quite low down by comparison, you do have to keep in mind that even when you are moving between cover, that top section above you could still be exposed. And even when it's at max armor, it's not the kind of light that's going to be going up against any mediums or heavies anytime soon. It's probably not going to be your first choice of light for a clan at the moment. It's still got to be the Arctic Cheetah, just because of that ECM and small pulse capability. This unfortunately lacks any ECM capability. So it works, as I said, best in the kind of support strike role than any other. Probably fast enough to be a scout, and if you stick a UAV and a airstrike, arty strike combination, something like that, you can probably get a few good hits because it's able to jump up to a few high spots and maybe get some good artillery strikes. But yeah, not a terrible mech, not my favourite of the bunch. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments, whether you think it's got room to improve, whether you've had good experiences, bad experiences, and yeah, so we go from there. Maybe PGI will address this. And if you're wondering why there's no chat messages that are popping up on the screen, it's because at the time of filming they actually broke the in-game chat. They were hotfixing it, but yeah, that's why you won't see anything. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and yeah, I guess Merry Christmas, depending on when you're watching this. Oh. Critical Rocket, signing out.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.